Foundation Course Kabbalah, Part 1, Lesson 13, Rabbi, Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. This lesson took place the Thursday after Boxing Day 2005, when took place the tsunami. Therefore, this is a very special lesson. This is lesson 13. 13 is a beautiful number and not an unlucky number as the most of us think. In contrary, it is a very successful number. Don't be afraid for this number. The number 13 is bringing you good luck. It brings only well. It is a very good number. Before Michael goes further, he places a remark for the students that are attending his course in Amsterdam. He asks them not to start talking when the lesson is over, that they should leave as quiet as possible. Why? By coming to the lesson, you are making yourself receivable for the higher. In a way, your ego is sleeping, but as soon the lesson has finished, directly the ego wakes up. You see, another person has built up the strength within him, and now your ego wants to suck this away from the other person. You want to have a part of his strength, but please notice this is all happening in an unconscious way, and we are still growing. It is the ego that's doing this. Therefore, I ask to all of you to become conscious of this. Stay quiet when the lesson is over. Don't talk with someone else. When you have a question, do it later, by email or something like that. But not there. Try to go away in silence. Then each one of you can take with him what he had received, and this will happen when you leave in silence. Everything what is happening outside of us is very important. No Kabbalist separates himself from the world. He lives in the middle of the misery because he too is a product of the Creator. Everything what is happening is a sign from above. It is for us to accept and not to say, I don't like it or I can't accept this. In a way, we have to be warriors who are learning to act in the right way. Not by acting like an ostrich, but to really confront ourselves with the subject. I wanted to continue with the book, but because of what is happening now, I like to anticipate in what is happening. A true Kabbalist is anticipating in what is happening around him. He's learning from what the day is bringing him and looks at it and makes the connections with the eternal. You too have to learn to ask the questions coming from the inside and to answer them with your inner. Never stay too long in grief or sadness. You have to work on yourself. When you stay in grief or sadness, you aren't working on yourself. You have to live in the moment of the now. When you stay in the past, then there's no hunger for life. Stay in the now. This will bring your happiness, not for a short moment, but forever. Not only for the hereafter, but now. Live now and experience the happiness you have today. We can learn from anything. There are three types of people, and especially from these three types of people, we can learn a lot. What kind of people do we mean? First, we have the person whose imagination is enormous. Then we have the bodybuilder. We can learn even more from him. And the last is the charlatan. We also can learn a lot from him. Laughter is audible coming from the students who are attending the lesson, but Michael is very serious. We can learn from everything. Don't feel insulted. In everything there is learning. He who has a lot of imagination is someone who doesn't want to live here on earth. He is searching and tries everything. He is very creative and tries to do everything what isn't in conformity with the common. He's striving for something he can't find in the reality, and we too can learn a lot from this person. In a way, we are as him. We don't have the contact with the Creator, although we believe we have. That's why we can learn a lot from he who has a lot of imagination. We too have a certain idea of the future. What is the future? I have talked in the last lesson about the aura that is hanging around our head, the surrounding light we have to bring within. Inner, not from the outside. Everything is from within. The aura hanging around our head gives us a special feeling, and this feeling is the future. What can we learn from the bodybuilder? Discipline. A bodybuilder builds up his body. He has a certain goal. Maybe he wants to win a gold medal. So physically he's building up his body, but this has an outcome in the inner too. We also are like bodybuilders, only for the spiritual. We are building up the spiritual in the same way as the bodybuilder is doing with his body. He's working on the outer, his muscles, etc. He's training and training for it to become stronger and stronger. He has a special diet. He needs a lot of discipline, and he's learning this. We are doing exactly the same, only not from the outside, but from the inside. We are building up our inner so the inner becomes large and great too. But the difference is, when the bodybuilder becomes ill, he is a small boy. He complains, he feels weak, etc., but not we. Of course, we can become ill, but we don't complain. We behave as warriors. But both of us are working in a very disciplined way. We don't eat junk food, etc. Only the intention is different. The goal is different. Therefore, we can learn a lot of a bodybuilder. What left is the charlatan. The charlatan is very important. What is characteristic for a charlatan? In a very devious way, he reaches his goal. He deceives another to reach his goal. And from this person too you can learn a lot, because in the spiritual you have to deal with your ego. And the ego is far stronger than you. Therefore, no, the ego wants to have the victory, and you have to be very cunning. Don't break the ego. Don't have the intention to break the ego. But it is you who have the victory over the ego. You have to fight with your ego, but not with the intention to break it. So you need the cunningness of the charlatan. Something has to be left over of the ego, because out of the leftovers will come at the end the strongest light. So you may cheat the ego, deceive him, and play a game with him. In a way, you have to be very conscious with your ego, like a charlatan. Now you see, you can learn a lot of these three types of people, accept all the signals, because these signals are coming from the Creator. All disasters, all misery is due this nation and for the sake of this nation. What does this mean? They don't learn, they neglect to learn the secret part of the Torah. Therefore, we see all the earthquakes, all the tsunamis, and other disasters. And there will come more. Enormous disasters will come. You can see this when you look to the operating system of the universe. You can and will receive the eternal life. This life isn't changeable, and everything is coming from above. We have to work here below. From below, we have to bring it to above. This is called Man. Ma'im Nukve. Female waters. Man is a prayer from the conditions of today, of the now. A prayer is committed on time, and you're aiming yourself to above, reaching for the eternity. The reaction will come from the eternity. The answer will be given to you in the context of eternity. So now you can see what will happen. A Kabbalist can see more than a prophet, because a Kabbalist sees the truth. He is observing during daytime. You will come to the understanding of the mechanism of all disasters. Then you can warn people for the eventually coming disaster. Listen carefully. Take away all your resistance. The resistance is coming from your intellect. I need the words of the material world, but I'm not talking about this world. Don't try to understand this in an intellectual way. Everything is from within, the inner. Remember this. I like to tell you about the reason, the true mechanism, when you have a tool helping you to stay from disaster. And even you can have some influence on your surrounding. Everything lies in the hands of the people, and not in the hands of angels, or gods, or whatever. The higher is never sending us disaster. He is good, absolutely good. Take away your resistance. Listen with your inner, because this is very difficult. We have a lot of variables. We can't see clear, yet because we aren't ready with our corrections. I already told you about the empty place that came into being after the Ein Sof was gone. The Ein Sof had left a certain place, and afterwards he returned, but only bit by bit. Everything is round light, igolim, and there is direct light, or yashar. First, there was light Ein Sof. It withdraws himself to create space, and the following what happened was the returning as a direct light, or yashar. The example of a funnel makes it very clear. Look at the drawing at the end of this lesson. All the light is coming from above and spread itself out as a round light. You can compare this with the wide opening of the funnel. This light is spreading out to the inside like drip irrigation, drip by drip. Small parts of the light are coming inwards by way of the small opening till it reaches its goal, the direct light, or yashar. First we have the world of Adam Kadmon, the first world, and then the world of Atzilut, the second world. There are 5 worlds, as we have mentioned before. What do we mean with 5 worlds? Worlds are coarsening of the light. Within the small dot, we have the universe, the cosmos. This is the lowest, the most rough aspect considering the strengths. First there was the round light and then the direct light. The Ein Sof created the world. All creatures can receive the round light. Everything receives the round light. You can compare this with our sun that is shining for each one of us, and everything receives the shining sun. The round light is the minimum one does receive, and this counts for the plants, the animals, the stones, etc., as well as for human beings. They are all receiving this round light to stay alive. Everything needs this light, and we call this light or nefesh. This is the most round light everyone receives. He is very merciful. Everything receives light, or nefesh. The direct light, or yashar, is only from the humankind. This direct light, or yashar, is our contact with the higher strengths. This light has 5 coarsening. Before men were created, this light was already introduced, and we have to do the same. Only man can receive the direct light, or yashar. He can invoke this light. Our world is the earth and the heaven. Think about airplanes flying through the air. Our world too has the round light. All what is here upon earth has the round light. All the 4 forms in nature, the lifeless minerals, the plants and herbals, the animals and the human being, all of them receive the round light. The direct light, or yashar, is coming from the Ein Sof. It isn't the light nefesh, but it is so much stronger. After the light of nefesh comes the light of ruach. The light ruach is stronger than the light of nefesh. The light ruach is a strongly light and gives us more life power. It is a very intensive light, far more qualitative. The human being is considering his spiritual strength here on earth as the Ein Sof is considering the spiritual. This means we as human beings have a creative task considering the worlds beneath us, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the mineral kingdom. That is the meaning what we have just said. And when you read further, it will become more clear to you. The human being has certain strengths, and the intensity of the light, what gives us life, are both necessarily for our planet. Only here on earth it is possible for man to receive the direct light, or yashar. Only the human being can receive this. Of course, we see on our earth forms far thinner, delicate than we are. We see the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the mineral kingdom, and deep inside the earth we have magna. By looking at the earth we see the same drawings as in the spiritual. Here on earth the human being is on top, and the spiritual world, Ein Sof, is on top. Beneath the human being we see the animal kingdom, and we can look at this as a more coarsening of the light. The animal kingdom is higher than the plant kingdom, and the next in range is the mineral kingdom, and the last is the magna, deep inside the earth. But only the human being is authorized by the Creator himself to receive the direct light, and to pass this on to the kingdoms below. Now you can see a human being has a creative function also. It is given to man, and he can and has to do this. The round light is for everyone. This round light belongs to the Ein Sof, to the endless light, and we name this light or nefesh. This light is necessarily for everything what is living here on earth, and was, is, and always will be present. And all of them are looking for the direct light. This higher, stronger light man can pass on to everything what is beneath. Everything what is beneath yearns for this light. They too want to receive the direct light. Look how the Creator had made us. We're just as the Creator. The human being here on earth has the same role as the Creator has in the whole existence. Now, you maybe understand why man can be so overconfident. Sometimes he feels as strong as a big tree. He looks and his power, and he feels himself as the king on earth, just as the Creator is the king about everything. Above us, we see the same. Look at the drawing. Look at the black dot. Within this dot, we see the earth. Look at his plan, so you won't become overconfident. We think and we feel we're the greatest, but do you see how small we really are? Just a dot, a humble dot. And this is how we have to feel, humble. and small. It is only a small fragment of the powers created by Him. Each one of us has to feel this. Of course, we already are aware of the surrounding strength, but we have no experience much more. But we have to experience much more. This is not only valid for one person, for a special person, because each one of us is equal. Every creature here on earth has to come to this feeling. There is no exception. There's no advantage in the spiritual. In the spiritual, everyone is equal. Only in our world we distinguish ourselves, but not in the spiritual. Here we have to work, each one of us, for ourselves. You can be chosen, that is possible. The Jewish people are at the moment in an absolute sleep considering their spiritual condition. Therefore, we see all the disasters. And not only the Jewish people, but also the nations. Because the Jewish people are the spiritual man. There is the same structure. It is the human being who is pulling the light, or Chokhmah, to himself, to the planet. When you have some understanding in this, you will understand also the general. When you understand the principle, you can come to the understanding of the general, because within the detail, the general is enclosed, is present already. When the Creator created the creation, everything was perfect already. Everything had His borders. When He created the seas, they were on their right places. Each hole was in the right place, and everyone was satisfied. But not man. Man hadn't reached his border. It is for the human being to achieve his limit, and he has to work hard to reach his border. The rest of the creation don't have to do this. They are perfect already. They don't have to teach this, therefore everything is depending from the human being. The influence of the stars, it is only on a low level, on a lower frequency. The zodiac is there for the animal-like person, not for the higher being. You can't compare the powers of the zodiac with the strength man can attract, with the radiation man can attract to him. As I have said just before, the seas were created in a perfect condition. There wasn't the necessity for the water to burst its banks, and there was no shortness in nature. The creation is created with no shortness considering nature. It was created in such a way the sea hadn't to burst its banks. All the water stayed within their territories. Everything was perfect. There was no need for the sea to burst out of its banks. There was no earthquakes or tsunami. In the beginning, everything was satisfied, and there was no cause for it to do so. Everything was in balance, and then men came. We can read this in Genesis, and yet there was no rainfall, because there was no man on earth. The rain was only needed for man. Before this moment, there wasn't something like rainfall. Only man can ask for rain. This is really the truth. Only man can ask for rain. But man doesn't know how to ask for rain anymore. In early days, there was a prayer for rain, and the rainfall was there. Not anymore. And we don't have always the need for it. You have to know we have forgotten. We are lost. The whole mechanism is micro, macro. The people here on earth have to do a prayer. A prayer is an inner effort. And we have to do a prayer to the Ein Sof, to turn our eyes to above. This is named Man. Man means female waters. When we bring our prayer to above, our Man, in return, we will receive Mad. Mad comes from the above to below. I only talk about the spiritual. This is the mechanism of the Creator installed by Him. It is the connection between the human being and the Creator. Nowadays we have the system of punishment and reward. But punishment is there for the sake of the development. If this shouldn't happen, we should stay as ignorant child. It is given to us, to the human being, to bring up a prayer, to make man, even on Sundays. On this day we have a certain quality, intensity, sigma, an enumeration of all the man, from the whole mankind, till the single person, about the 7 billion persons. From this entity, mankind. He is expecting from us to make man. This is a special strength of the light Ruach. This strength can be called on, and in return received by he who has done the calling. And each person living on this earth can do this. There were great souls who called who could call on the light neshama. But the expression of the prayer man should be enough to leave the borders quiet, to let them come in peace. What does this mean? Everything comes from the Zohar. This is given only to man. Only man can attract this strong light by way of the true prayer, by raising himself up to the source of life, and in return there will be the receiving of Mad. Mad is becoming from above to below and is equal to the Man. We are starting from below. It goes from below to above, from Asiyah to the Ein Sof. And this is the only way the light comes to us, from above. All life comes from the Ein Sof and descends to the human being. It is only given to man for to do this invocation, and the animal kingdom is the first kingdom that will profit, will learn from it. The animals will receive the light in an unconscious way, but this doesn't matter. They can bring it over to the plants, then to the minerals, and then to the center of the earth, the magma. And this is our job. By way of the good effort of the human being, the whole planet can come alive. Look at this tsunami. People were sleeping, but the animals were alert. Not many animals were killed. They were alert. He who is sleeping can't be alert. When one doesn't do this job, he doesn't realize his goal. Then the animal has to flee. By way of our prayer, our man, the light of Ruach can be invoked. There were great souls who could call a greater light, the light neshama, in the favor of the whole world. Everything we are doing is in the favor for the animals and the plants. Everything what is living here on earth will profit. It is often said we are kings of the earth. This means we have to invoke, we have to raise ourselves to the source. When there is no man, or not enough man, there will be no mad. We are the greatest destroyers. We need mad. When man doesn't do the prayer, mad won't come to below. We are responsible for what is happening in the world. Every disaster, every tsunami, we are the one that are responsible. Whatever the time will be, good or bad, it is to us, and not to the Creator. Try to understand this. The Creator is the quality of absolute unselfishness, and this quality is in the whole universe, everywhere, in the same form as a whole, singular, perfect, eternal unselfishness. Can you imagine? We are the one who are changing. Our awareness is changing, but the light stays perfect, whole, eternal. It is to us to draw the good to ourselves. We have to make our wishes more transparent. I have to look up high and not to below. Here below we have the ego, all the misery, but upstairs we see the source of life. It is outside my vision. That's why I have to raise myself up high. To bring up the man, I have to bring up the man to above, so the mad can come down in a clear and pure way, so the light can fill you. There is no movement. Everything is perfect everywhere. There is no empty place. Everything is perfect. This emptiness, wholeness, consists of all kind of garments. To us is given the matrix of Yud-K, Vav-K, the name of the Creator. To us is given this job, that also given to us is the free choice. The free choice we have is enormous. We are the kings of this planet. To us is given the government. You have to know the Creator has given us a huge amount of authority. To raise yourself up means make your wishes more transparent, purer, meaning making yourself visible for the source of life, and give a prayer. Man from below to above. That is what we mean when we say raise yourself up. And when you do so, the mad can come down, the fulfillment. We don't have the powers to control and to manage nature. We are depending on the mad. This light has to penetrate our planet, and we have to wake up from below and draw it to below. We are free creatures when we are doing this. And it doesn't matter if another person doesn't do this. Then you double it. Don't whine. If you see another person doesn't do this, don't blame him, but work harder. Double it. When another person doesn't do this, the point in his heart hasn't been wakened up. You have to know. From above, they will wake him up. The person isn't to blame, and it's not to you to have a critic. Never criticize nor decide for another person. You have to do your job, even double. Do what you can do. A great person can bring up mud. A great Kabbalist, or he who is righteous person, can do this, and this is an enormous correction for the world. When someone dies, there's a lot of grief, but it isn't necessary. When such a great person dies, he gives so much, in that moment he goes beyond his boundary, and in that moment he can send a lot of mud to the earth. This happens 3 days after his passing away, meaning it happens in 3 phases. In 3 phases, he is sending to below enormous strength, and this strength will never be lost. There is a law that is telling us every mud that has come to below will never disappear, stays forever with us. Now the earth is the owner of this strength, and it will never return. It stays forever on this earth. It is our heritage. What the great wise man once had done, in a way, we are their product. All of us make use of this. We are all depending from each other, and at the same time we are independent of each other. But we need each other. The Creator only sees the total, the prayer and the strength of the prayer embedded in all the man. All the wishes are the strengths of Adam. The strength of Adam is in each one of us. Adam couldn't do this by himself. This was his fall, and now his task is divided. We are all carriers of the strength. His job is poured out in us, so the job can be finished. That's why we have nowadays so many people. One has shortness and another gives extra. When a person neglects this work, the working on himself, his soul will be divided in smaller pieces after his death. But in every part, we have the blueprint from this one soul. Everything is perfect, but the job has to be done. The contribution may be smaller in intensity. Then a next generation can continue with this part. Try to make your soul perfect. By doing so, the whole creation will be fulfilled. This is what we're doing. But we are depending from each other. Man has work to do, and his soul will take part in the correction. He will come to the absolute corrections, and he will hasten. He will come to the absolute corrections, and he hasn't to return. When he returns, it is his own decision, mostly for help on a voluntary basis, the people here on earth. But it isn't necessary. You can finish your job. You can make your own corrections. You have to make your own corrections, but in a way, we're all depending on each other. How? I would like to tell you a short story. There were several people who had bought a ticket for a boat. All passengers are in the boat, and one passenger has with him a drill. And when he's sitting on this place, he drills a hole under his seat. Of course, there's a reaction of other people. What are you doing? But the man says, it is not of your business. I have bought a ticket for this place, and I am allowed to drill. But the other people are responding. But then the boat sinks. But the man has no interest. For him, his place is of interest, and he wants to do what he wants to do. We are all sitting in this boat. Each one of us is working independently, but we are depending on each other. Disasters are happening due to us, not by the hand of the Creator or by nature, whatever science is telling you. We are responsible for what is happening. We have to have good intentions, good expectations. We have to be alert to live according to the laws of the universe. This is our responsibility. We have to attract the direct light, or yashar, so the animals will receive the blessings too. Gam Zetov. Please refer to the drawings. Drawing Ein Sof in our world and Ein Sof in the worlds. Drawings for lesson 13. Foundation Course Kabbalah, Part 1, Lesson 12, Rabbi Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. There is a very important principle. Everything what is simple is genius, real and true. When it becomes complicated, know the truth is disguised. What is true is simple, easy. We continue with the book of inner purification. On page 6, we see the structure of the human being. We look at the human being from above to below, but it is also possible to look from below to above. The drawing on page 9 shows us the structure from within to the outside. What is within is higher with respect to the outer. We see an inner circle, which is higher. What is higher? With higher, we mean closer to the Creator, closer to the light, more delicate. Lower is closer to the Malchut. The lower we come, the rougher and further away from the Creator. Everything what is within is higher, closer to the goal. On page 7 we read, "It is said, there is none else beside Him." No other strength. This is a principle you have to remember. Will you progress? This is something that has to be in your heart, and when you have accepted this, you are halfway. There is none else beside Him. You can know everything, but when you lack this understanding, this principle, nothing can help you. This sentence belongs to Yehuda Ashlag. He who is working on himself, he who is doing the spiritual work, has the feeling he's falling down constantly. He feels he lacks the strengths for his work. We read, and it isn't enough he's going forwards in his work. He sees he's going backwards, and he hasn't the strengths for to do the Torah and the prescriptions with the intention for himself. Especially when one starts, this is a common feeling. These opposites strengths are fighting within you for to stay alive. In a way, you're taking away the fertile ground for the ego. But it is a mock fight. When you're really victory, your selfish love will be gone, lessened, and now there is no longer an obstacle for you to come in contact with your inner. Or in other words, you will see more and more your inner being, and you will keep yourself more and more busy with the inner and not with the outer. When we first start, it seems as if there is no progress. You think there is only descending and no progress. And he doesn't see the end of the situation. But don't have a desire for the end. Just continue. You have to work and make stronger your belief beyond your understanding. This has to grow. Only by going beyond the knowledge it becomes possible, but this is very difficult. We have to have faith. Only then there is progression. We have come to the awareness only the Creator can help. This is hard to understand. What we want to understand with our intellect is difficult. Why? We see the contradictions hidden in the spiritual, and with our intellect we don't understand them. Our intellect is the one who says it is this or that. Only when we come on a higher level, we can unite them. Good and evil will be united on a higher level. First, one feels misery and has the feeling he can't do anything. And this feeling becomes worse. Wherefrom does this feeling come? From the Creator. It is the Creator Himself who is sending this to you. It is to say, only in your opinion you think you are going down, but for the Creator Himself, you have to know. He's bringing you closer to the goal of creation. Each person has to come to his deepest disappointment before he can stand up and see only the Creator can help him. For every person it is necessary he goes through this process. It makes him stronger. Only then he can come to the aspect of faith beyond the understanding, and this is the true strength. When one wants to be full of strength, he does do everything on his own. Look, for example, to the politician, etc. The Creator won't reveal Himself to them. Why not? They are already strong. They don't need help, so why should the Creator interfere with them? The Creator helps him who is weak. In a way, you have to be weak, porous. Then the Creator can help you. Who else? The Creator should give. Only to them who are weak. Only them he can give the spiritual. What do I mean with weak? I mean weak from the inside, from them who can make themselves small, tiny. Weak means to make yourself as an intermediary, to make yourself transparent for the spiritual, to make yourself empty, receivable, receptive. Then the spiritual can and will come to you. What are you learning? You learn to make yourself from within small, for the only creating strength, the king. Only the weak ones do need the king. The king gives to them who are weak, the same as we see in our material world. You will receive everything as long as you stay faithful at the king. Why is there misery? Because you are feeling yourself strong, and it is all about to feel yourself weak from the inside. And this is only possible when you're in pain. This is misery. Real misery is when you hold up your hands to the sky and have the feeling there's no one who can help you. Of course, to other persons you are still strong, but not if you want to stand before the Creator. Then your power has to be gone. Feel yourself weak. It is your rescue. Weak from the inside. When you stop fighting, when there is no longer any resistance, it has to happen from the inside. Everything takes place within you. Text. And this will bring him to the feeling in the heart that he is in need of the Creator, will open his eyes and heart, so now he can come in truth to his goal, to come in unity with him forever. Read every word carefully. First, there is the acceptation, the feeling you have to make yourself weak for him. And this has to come from you with all your heart and soul. You have to be aware of this. Not saying, yes, I do. Without your heart, this has to come from deep within. You have to feel the power of the opposition, not only simple faith, and think, oh yes, I will be saved. When there is no preparation, when you have done nothing, you won't come to the true faith. You won't receive the real strength. It has to come from your heart. The desire has to be felt deep inside of you. Only then the Creator will notice you. Who can do this work? The one who aren't Jewish, they can summon up all their strength. Not the Jewish people. This has already been written in the holy books. Therefore, what is happening those days, it is good. It is already written in the holy books. The non-Jewish people will receive the strength. But first, there has to be the necessity. And the Creator will open your eyes and brings you closer to his goal. What is your goal? To come in unity with him forever. What does this mean, unity forever with the Creator? Then you can't sin. What is sin? Only when you do something that separates you from the Creator. You sin when you separate yourself from the source of life. When you have the feeling you are lonely, you are separated from the source of life. Each feeling of loneliness means you are separated from the Creator. Don't think when you keep yourself busy with the spiritual, the feelings of unpleasantness will disappear. You have to know this. When you feel yourself lonely or miserable, you already have sinned. Or in other words, you are lonely because you are without him. Because when you are with him, there is no feeling of loneliness or self-pity. Do you see the difference? Keep yourself busy with the spiritual means directing your prayer to him, to the only creating strength. What is prayer? When you pray, you have a feeling of oneness. Why do you need that feeling? So now you can come to live in the moment. There is a momentum of merging. You feel you experience the only creating strength. In a way, you are on the same wavelength. You are merging together in the same wavelength, and then you will be written in the book of life. What is the book of life? Don't think we are talking about a book as we have in the material world. Feeling the merging, the moment of unity with the one creating strength, that is the book of life. When you feel alive, when you are lonely, you have gone too far. You have been separated too far. And in this we see already the world of sin. Separation isn't good considering the Creator. When you have the feeling of separation, you have gone too far. Remember this. Ask the Creator for help in time. Text. In this you will come to the recognition all the separations you had felt are coming from the Creator, not because you weren't okay or you haven't the wish for it to overcome, but you have to know the real help is there only for them who has the wish, the real wish to come closer to Him. He won't be satisfied with little. He wants everything, and it isn't His wish you stay as a stubborn child. Therefore the Creator helps you, so now you can't say there is so little in the Torah and in the prescriptions and all the good deeds I did, but still I'm missing something. When you feel pushed away, know it is the Creator who's working with you, not because He wants to tease you, but for you to come closer to Him. Deep within us there has to be the wish, this wish for to near Him. Then He will near you. There won't come any help from above when there wasn't first the question, the wish from below. Remember this. Bring this in your heart. The greater your wish, the greater the merging with the Creator. You have to come to the experience. There has to be the engraving, and time by time you will learn on the exact moment to handle, to cry out His name in time. Your prayer has to be on the right time. First, the Creator let you fall. He wants your heart completely. He doesn't take no for an answer or maybe. Therefore, can have the feeling the Creator is beating you. But what do you do with the moments of pleasure? Are you crying out for Him then? No. And the consequence is you are standing still. Remember this. Each time the Creator is showing us a little piece of our ego, our uncorrected part. So now you have the work to do. This is the work we have to do. What you are doing as a job for a living, it is for the outer being. And of course, this is necessarily too. But the inner work is the most important work you have. What is this work? Each time you have to make corrections from within. It is the instruction from above. Each person, no matter where he comes from, has to work on and with his inner. No person is free from his job. Be happy, and when you feel lonely, you have work to do. The Creator is there for you to help you with your corrections. When you run away, you won't reach the goal. All the unpleasantness is your rescue. He doesn't leave you behind as a little child, as some without knowledge. You feel shortness. How can you bear this? By making yourself small, tiny from within. And you are doing this only for Him, for the Creator. When you feel yourself strong, and He is strong too, what is happening? Two powerful strengths are coming together and they reject each other. The light can't come in, only by making yourself as a limestone. Do you still remember? Only when you are as wax, the light can enter. Who is the resisting one? Your own self-love. Your self-love closes your heart from the inner work. The one who are strong have the most resistance, and that's why they become ill. Why? For to break down the resistance, therefore, he receives the help from above. So now he can't say the Torah and the prescriptions and the good deeds are with the Creator, and he's lacking something. You receive all the help from above only when you feel one with the King. You will receive His strength, and He will lift you up. The only thing we have to do is to obey His laws. Therefore, we are learning the laws of this mighty King, the only creating strength, who lives forever. In a way, we are all participants of this one King. When you come to this understanding, to see and accept this, you will come to experience Him. No one, the powerful he may be, can't escape this or deny this, but he, she, who is reading this, is far closer to the Creator. You are doing this on your own strength, but this is the wish of the Creator too. We are all servants of the Creator, but he who is working on himself has more freedom in his work. All those powerful people, the world leaders, they fulfill his wish as a blind person. They are as puppets on a string. But we are looking, searching for to come in contact with the creating strength. And this is what we experience, what we feel, the coming in conformity with the only creating strength. And we aren't longer wandering in this world. You are experiencing His strength, and you see His good. You can see the good in His strength because you are one with Him, one with the creating strength. So now you can go everywhere because This feeling is within you. Wherever you go, you will feel the connection with Him. This feeling comes from deep within you, and you know by making yourself small, tiny, you won't lose it. Don't judge about yourself. Let the Creator be your judge. When you give in the right way, you will receive tenfold. The next subject is Tes. This is an abbreviation for Talmud Eser HaSfirot, or the teaching of the 10 Sfirot. And we name this Tes. Tes is the teaching of the 10 Sfirot. Feel the radiation coming from this work. Tes consists of 16 parts, and this writing is a commentary on the three of lives, on the tree of life, the famous book of Ari, consisting of 2,000 pages. First, you have to become used to the language. The translation is literal, and when time goes by, you will come to the feeling. Tes is not a learning book, but a guide, a reference book to come to a better understanding of the Zohar. Therefore, we start with this book. The text of Ari is bolted. When you read these words of Ari, even without understanding, an enormous light will be coming to you when you make yourself small. Ask the Creator for understanding, because within the letters, the Creator is hiding Himself. By reading the letters, scanning the letters, you draw the light to you. The Creator is light. Here you have the pure light, and nowhere else you will find this. Or Pnimi means the inner light, and the comment comes from Yehuda Ashlag. The bolded letters are from Ari, and the text is from Yehuda. Each Hebrew word has strength, and for Yehuda, Ari was his source. The first text. No, before the creatures were created, and creations were created, the singular high light filled the whole reality. There was no free place in the form of empty air and space, though everything was filled with the singular endless light, and there was no beginning or ending. Everything was soul, singular, fully homogeneous light, and the name is endless light, Ein Sof. Before the creation was created, the light filled the whole reality. First, there was only light, endless light, and this light filled everything. Then the light had a thought, the strength to limit himself. Wherefore? For to create. When everything is light, how can the light create? This is only possible by limitation. First, there has to be the limitation, and then you can do something. This was the first act of the light, and we have to do the same. When you want something, first you have to limit yourself. Then you can go further, but first you have to create some space. This is the first thing we have to do, to make space. Everything what you learn and read about in the Kabbalah has nothing to do with time or place. Everything is spiritual. Don't try to understand. There's absolutely no understanding with your head. In a way, your head is the end. Your head is restricting you, and everything what we are learning in the Kabbalah is the teaching of the endlessness. Because only what is endless can be grasped by way of endless too. Therefore, the head can't come to the understanding of the endless. We need the faith of belief beyond understanding. Then we can come to understanding. It has to go beyond your understanding, beyond your earthly understanding. When a person starts to build up the spiritual within him, we should see around the head an aura. Every person has an aura. Look at the old paintings or other portrayals. This light of the aura has to come within you, and when this happens, already small corrections have taken place. This aura is hanging around the head of every soul, and we have to bring this light to within. This light of this aura has to come within you, and as long as it hasn't entered you, are still sitting in the past. You don't live in the now. Of course, you are trying hard, but only when you make place for this light, this surrounding light. Every person has. Then it can enter you. You have to make place for it to receive this light. But because of your ego, and the ego says to you, be strong, then you say, I am, I. And then the aura, the light says, or the light stays outside you. Each person has this light, the aura around him. It is very thin, and by reading this text and all the spiritual work you do, the surrounding light enters you. The more you let the light come in, the light of the aura will lessen. Why? You already have the light taken in. This is your act of creation, considering yourself. Your aura is floating around you only because you don't let the aura come in. And this is due to your self-love, due to your earthly stubbornness. You don't have place for your true I. The great Kabbalists had the light brought in. They could live in the now. They could experience the Creator. They could speak with the Creator. They don't need to incarnate. They are ready. When they are coming back, it isn't for them. We will learn this too. The hour is yours, but you don't experience it yet. But because of the listening, the reading, step by step, it will be taken in. By way of your spiritual work you are doing right now. Then you two merge together with the light. What is the merging we are talking about? It is the feeling you are together with the Creator. Then there is no awareness of time or place in this world anymore. Ari is speaking to us from this place. The great Yehuda speaks to us from the man who had taken in the whole aura already. And we are people where the aura is hanging outside. We are listening with our aura outside of us, and he is speaking to us from his perspective. That is to say, from the aura that is within already. He was ready. He didn't feel time or place anymore, but could see from there. When you work from within to the outside, meaning you have correct yourself from within, you too can take in the light from the outside. Then we too feel there are no time or places, but only the consciousness of the now. So by reading these texts, your aura will be taken in. Your aura, not the aura of your neighbor or partner. In the spiritual, there are no dilutions, no changes. All the changes we are speaking about doesn't mean the first condition disappears and receives another form. Nothing disappears in the spiritual, and this means when you experience something and later you have another experience, you have to know the first experience is still there. All your experiences always exist. You are changing by way of your spiritual work. You will go forwards, but the first experience still exists. What was before you started always stays in existing. This is in contrary with our earthly thinking. We think when we move a thing, it is gone from the place wherefrom we had taken it away, but not in the spiritual. There is no disappearing in the spiritual. Therefore, when you start to work on yourself, you won't lose a thing. You will receive more extra. Slowly, this thought has to be brought in your heart. Step by step, you have to make place for new thoughts, another pattern of thinking. The first time you're reading this, there will be no understanding at all. But by reading and rereading, and with the wish in your heart, this will help you. Then you too will come to the experience. But you have to remember this. There is no disappearing in the spiritual. All changes are extra. Each experience is very precious, stays forever in existing. You're only adding more and more and more. Nothing disappears. When we talk about changes in the Kabbalah, we mean something has been added. You don't have to be afraid you will lose something of yourself. Every wish, every expectation you have will stay, will always exist. No one can take this away from you. It is the common person who is afraid of something will be taken away from him. Nothing will be taken away from you, only adding, only more and more experiencing. You will come to see the real person who you really are. A new, sixth feeling will come in developing within yourself, a feeling for the spiritual, and no one else can give you this. It wasn't given to you by birth. This is something you have to develop by way of your experiencing. Each one of us has to bring this in developing. Changes in Kabbalah means you have received new additional conditions, but the first original conditions have changed. All the changes and extras, the first original conditions haven't changed. All the changes and extras are only in the material, not in the spiritual. But although we aren't in the spiritual, we can experience certain elements. All your inner movements are like a prototype of the spiritual. It is only embedded with material embeddings. And this is very hard to understand for them who are just starting with the real spiritual work. It is Ari who is warning us. It is hard in the beginning, therefore we have to overcome. A new observation has to grow in ourselves so a new opening can be made, and this new opening gives us the chance to experience in a new way. What was before will now be experienced in another way. First, we are occupied only with techniques and all kind of terms. This is our limitation in the beginning. We are here in the material world, sitting in time and place, and this we have to overcome. You have to know, a Kabbalist is talking about the spiritual, but he uses earthly terms, but they are only symbols. They are clues from above, from the spiritual roots. All words we use like Abraham did this and that, the speaking about Jews. When we hear the word Jew, we think about the Jewish people living in our world, but the Torah doesn't speak about these earthly Jews. Also, the New Testament doesn't speak about persons in flesh and blood, only about spiritual ideas. It is you who has to come to the understanding. You have to find the meaning behind the words. The light comes, the light descends, but the light never moves. It isn't about your religion, not the religion you have been growing up with. This only limits you. You have to come to faith by way of understanding, by way of experience. Only then the light can enter you. Try to experience every sentence you read. Read again, read slowly, and feel. Experience the words deep from within. You have to work hard. Again and again you have to work very hard. Try to come to understanding. And the doing. Every effort you give gives you extra light. Read the concepts, reread them, then you will come to understanding. This is learning. Don't go further if you haven't come to the understanding of the first text. Repeat the names, the words, let them enter you. Why? This is the building up of your kelim. This is the forming within you of new awareness, organs. And this will happen by rereading the text again and again. Be patient. This is very special.